myself like, what the fuck is going on? Asking God for help like, what the fuck I'm doing wrong? He ain't giving me no answers, I figured it out myself. Got tired of asking questions, I'm tired of looking for help. Man, I can't win for losing, I'm steady taking these losses. Had to bury greed and cheat, same week, 2 different coffins. Man, that shit'll traumatize you when it ain't trying to. Everybody shedding tears, you trying not to cry too. They say they feel my pain, but they don't know how much I'm hurting. Mama told me pray, it usually helps, but it ain't working. Just to numb this pain, I'm popping Perkins.
You're now rocking with Terrence Sale on Flint's #1 online podcast, Flint After Dark. We speak for the streets.
It's your boy, Terrence Sales, a.k.a. Mr. Speak for the Streets, a.k.a. Big T, and you locked in to the #1 podcast in Flint, Michigan, Flint After Dark. We speak for the streets. With my co-host, LPZ. We the new dynamic duo. We speak for the street. Peace. Yo, we back. It's your boy John O'Snow, Flint After Dark podcast, man. We back with part 2 of the Wantaz Davis interview, man. Hey, Wantaz, man, I got so many inboxes, texts, and phone calls from our interview yesterday, man.
Okay.
We woke up a sleeping giant, baby.
Okay. Right. And we want to clear this up with some facts, actual facts.
Yeah, man. By no way, by no way, we're not smearing nobody's campaign. None of that, man. We endorsed Dr. Weaver.
Yep.
She's endorsed on this platform.
Yep.
And we no way bashing. But I'm the type of nigga. Excuse my English. Facts is facts. If a nigga say I'm lying or what I was saying is not allegedly not the truth, I like to come with facts, man. That's just the type of nigga I am, man.
Right.
And we gonna get down. We gonna talk about that, and we gonna talk about the other. We gonna talk about them ARPA funds today. I need everybody to be downtown at 5:30 about the ARPA funds, the applications, and all that. When they lied on Eric Mays about that one application, and they spent that $1 million to that company. The city council allocated them funds to that company to draft the application for $1 million and shit like that. We gonna get it in, man. We gonna talk. We ain't gonna just talk about one situation. We got a few more situations we're gonna talk about. Part 2, man. What you got to say, Mr. Davis?
What I want to talk about first and foremost is about Lear Manufacturing coming to the 5th Ward and the process and how it actually began. You know, my thing is I saw some of those text messages that you got, my brother.
Yes.
A lot of people was caught up on deceptive intelligence. You know, you can intellectually deceive people and the people cannot understand that they actually being deceived. This is the reason why I call it intellectually deceiving people. Sometimes people intellectually deceive themselves and don't know that they're being deceived because they're so engrossed with the amazement and the like and the interest that they have in a person. Sometimes it's the person not even saying that they did something, but because another group of people like that person and has ingratiated themselves with that person, they put those lies on the person themselves when the person didn't actually say that and didn't actually give themselves that credit. But what I'm trying to actually say is I don't know if Karen Weaver is telling people that she brought Lear to Flint. Sometimes people can like her so much that they put that responsibility on her. They give her that credit. But my thing is I'm here today to clear all those intellectually deceptive lies or deceptive intelligence. I'm trying to clear all that up to let people know the truth with facts, with numbers, dates, times. And I want people to not be persuaded by their own intellect by deceiving themselves. I want people to live off truth. And once again, like I spoke about earlier, you know, half truth is worse than a lie. I prefer a person to just tell a flat lie than give me half truth. Half truth can stretch all the way from Saginaw to Detroit, and it can go farther and beyond. But a lie can just stand right in his own place. If it's an orange and you say it's an apple, it's an apple. But you said it was orange. It just specifically stays in its own lane. If to say the truth, if you say it's an orange and it's an orange, orange stays in its place. But once again, like I said earlier, a truth needs no support. Only a lie does. And a lot of times people put those lies on others when others did not proclaim for that to be the truth. other people because they've ingratiated themselves with their own interest in that person, that they want that person to actually endorse that lie. So I'm here to give the truth about how Lear actually got to Flint and who actually brought it to Flint and who actually financed that issue of that manufacturing to come to Flint. And so my thing is, Karen Weaver came in office in 2015, November of 2015. Jerry Ambrose, and I want to clear some things up that I didn't say accurately because I do have epilepsy and sometimes my memory can be shortened, but I actually know and giving the clarity to what I said yesterday or refining some things that I said, not yesterday, but today, earlier today. Karen Weaver came in office November the 15th, 2015. Jerry Ambrose, who was our last emergency manager, gave the Chambers of Commerce a unique contract, a contract that they've never had before at that particular time, which was to control all economic and development in the city of Flint. Although their office is based on economic growth and development, but they was given a contract through the emergency manager because at this particular time, the city of Flint, Michigan had went into receivership. The reason why we went into receivership is because our budget entailed a deficit, which was $53 million in debt. It was not balanced, it was in debt. City council job as a legislator is to control the budget and create law, which means that we are legislators and we balance a budget that we get every year. For some particular reason, before I came in office, the budget was not balanced under Mayor Dane Walling. It had went to a $53 million debt. And so Governor Rick Snyder issued a couple of emergency managers. But at this particular time, Jerry Ambrose, not Darnell Early. I mentioned earlier that it was Darnell Early, but it wasn't Darnell Early. It was Jerry Ambrose. Jerry Ambrose gave the Chambers of Commerce, who sit inside the Mott Foundation building, he gave them a unique contract, was to control all economic and development for 5 years, starting from 2014 to 2019, if I'm correct. However, they had a meeting with every city council person, which was 9 of us, but 2 at a time. When they had the meeting with the person I went in with was Councilperson Scott Kincaid. When I went in the meeting, I was actually able to fulfill one of my dreams, which is my ultimate dream, was why I actually ran for city council. I wanted to tell them what they can do with that contract. And I told them if they didn't do what I desired for them to do, which was viable, was bring manufacturing jobs to Flint, Michigan, because Charles Stewart Mott and Billy Durant created our infrastructure that it could not be surmounted. And they made our infrastructure for auto and manufacturing. When a successful person and a genius that was Mayor Charles Stewart Mott and Billy Durant, when they create something that's greatly successful, bringing all of the uneducated people from the South and putting them into work and making their families, middle-class families, any successful person, when they build a house, they're going to make it where that a tornado cannot knock it down. So they made our infrastructure where that it can be insurmountable and it could not be breaking in pieces. It has to stand on its own and will stand forever, for at least 100 years. However, I told them that our infrastructure is not designed for education. It's not designed for all the things that every mayor came in office and tried to make it. It's only designed for manufacturing and auto. And if they don't succeed in doing that for manufacturing, that they will fail the city of Flint, Michigan. And most importantly, they will fail with that contract until that they will fail themselves. They said, well, Mr. Davis, Councilman Davis, what do you think we should do with the contract? I said, what I believe that you should do, because over half of the population in Flint, Michigan, not half, but over half of the population in the city of Flint, Michigan are ex-convicts and felons. Not saying that we have underprivileged people as well, low, moderate people as well. But most importantly, we have ex-convicts and felons that are uneducated. And all of them together are uneducated as well. But they're hardworking people that desire to have a job. And the easiest job that they can work in is manufacturing. I don't care if it's rubber bands that they're making, barrettes, socks, sweatpants, just something that they can manufacture and get them off the street that will heighten the morals and the values in their lives, and it will lower the crime rate. Because back when I was a child, you didn't see the crime rate in Flint, Michigan the way that you see it now. Why? because you had most people working and it was easy to get a job. You had Chevy in the hole, Buick, Fisher Body, AC Spark Plug, Truck and Bus, and a host of other factories. And most of the people that was living in Flint, Michigan were uneducated, but they worked, which means their children grew up with good morals and values, and they wanted to duplicate what they see their parents doing. They wanted to get a job in the factory. And so majority of people living in Flint, Michigan, they was working. And when I grew up and a person told me, or a child my age told me that their parents was working in the shop, I instantly believed that they was middle-class families and that the child was spoiled because it told me that their parents had money. So I told the Chambers of Commerce the first and foremost thing that they should do with their contract is bring manufacturing to Flint. That will help the crime rate go down. It will build morals and values in the underprivileged people, ex-convicts, felons, and low moderate people. And we can start this today. And that was in 2014. That was a year before Mayor Karen Weaver even came in office. October the 27th, October 2017 is when they broke groundbreaking news that they was going to build Lear in the 5th Ward, the ward that I represented on East Hamilton Street. The reason why people thought that economic and development came out of the city of Flint, Michigan, out of City Hall, is because Karen Weaver went into the Chambers of Commerce and brought the vice president of the Chambers of Commerce and gave her an office in City Hall. Her name was Janice. So anything that was predicated on economic and development, they thought it was actually coming out of City Hall when initially it was coming out of the Chambers of Commerce. What Karen Weaver actually did is just put Janice's office into City Hall, although City Hall lost that privilege. I hope that makes sense. Do that make sense, brother?
Yeah, it make a lot of sense, man. Facts is facts. You know what I mean? I just want
so many words, in a small amount of words, it was kind of like deceptive intelligence. She intellectually deceived the people that made the people think that any decision that was predicated on economic and development, it was still coming from city council and the mayor in the Office of Economic and Development that normally does that type of work coming out of City Hall. But she knew that that contract was given to the Chambers of Commerce. But what she did is put the vice president of the Chambers of Commerce office into City Hall. And I hope I can make a good analogy on how that looked.
I mean,
basically, if I took your car and you no longer can drive the car no more, but I put the driver in my house. So anytime the driver is in my house, they can drive their car, but they got to live in my house, making people believe that the driver still owns the car because that car is parked in my driveway. I hope I made a good analogy. I took your car from you, but I let you live in my house. So anytime you want to drive the car, you have to put the car back in my driveway, but I let you live in my house. So every time you drive the car, they think you own the car, but I took the car from you. And when you get through driving it, you have to put it back in my driveway, making it seem as if you still own the car. I hope I gave a good analogy, but if I didn't,
hey man, Art Wilson just said, no, she didn't. She had Lynette Phillips over that. She had a catalog grant that is how she brought it back to City Hall.
But she had Janice, she had Janice's office inside of City Hall. She had an office for Janice, who is the vice president of the Chambers of Commerce. Ask him, I'm telling the truth. Then she have Janice's office inside of City Hall, who is or was the vice president of the Chambers of Commerce. Irregardless of the catalog, she had an office of Janice, who was the vice president of the Chambers of Commerce. She gave her an office in City Hall. And I'm telling the truth. I'm only speaking that truth. I'm not talking about catalog. I'm not talking about Captain Crunch. I'm not talking about Cinnamon Toast. I'm talking about Janice, who was the vice president of the Chambers of Commerce, had an office inside of City Hall. Very unique and unheard of. Can you respond?
Let me say something real quick, right? Like I said before we started, this what we doing today ain't nowhere, no shape or form back for somebody or spearing nobody campaign.
No, we're not.
The truth is the truth, but It really, that really, that little shit.
And we are endorsing Karen Weaver. We just need to
Right.
make sure.
That's what I'm saying.
We
We're
are endorsing Karen Weaver.
We're endorsing it.
We're just making sure that proper information, accurate information, is dispensed to the people.
Right, exactly. I just want people to know I ain't hating on her and nothing. I want her to win. I want her to get that half pint ass nigga out of office, man.
Yeah, we both want Karen to win. We're gonna both endorse her. We both gonna support her. If I didn't have epilepsy, I'll be knocking at doors trying to get people to vote for her.
But hey man, brother, but that shit fucked me up last night with all them negative texts and phone calls shit I got, man. You know what I mean? I just like it didn't sit right with me. I said, man, I need to, like you said, due diligence.
And I'm
if
giving
you come
facts.
receipt, you come
and I'm
receipt.
giving
You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
And another
thing, it just didn't sit right with me, man.
And another thing is Karen Weaver cannot take a contract from the Chambers of Commerce when everybody is saying that she did, when that would be a breach of contract. Their contract was signed for 5 years. Well, people are saying that Karen Weaver took.
All right, you want me to send you the link or something? I said no, she didn't. Pastor Wilkerson was the vice president.
But did she put Janice office?
What you want to do? Are you ready to break the internet? You want me to send you the link? All right, what you want me to do? Let's do it. But go ahead, Mr. Davis. What you say now?
I can go farther than this, and I can call Councilman Nolan, Commissioner Nolan on the phone.
Who that, BB?
Yeah, I can call BB on the phone, and we can go farther than this. And BB will tell you the same thing. Because matter of fact, he got emails from Janice. He got emails from Janice all the way dating back to 2018. May 11, 2018, Janice had an office inside. Now I'm giving you the dates. May 2018, Janice had an office inside a city hall. May 11, 2018. BB, which is Brian Nolan, Commissioner Brian Nolan, who was the 3rd Ward City Councilman at that particular time in 2015, was getting emails from Janice out of City Hall. So she did have an office in City Hall May 11, 2018. Janice did.
Somebody tagged Dr. Weaver, man. I sent her a link.
They can tag her.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Somebody tag her. I don't know. But we ain't gonna spend all day on this shit. We just,
but we're
gonna do some fact check. We're gonna talk about some other stuff too. But I just, if Brittany Boy say, no, call Karen, who was Janice. Then she said that I guess the information you giving is not accurate.
Well, we're gonna make it accurate. Go to May 2018.
She just tagged her too. I seen it. She just tagged her. Oh man, I like you say, due diligence. Everybody, due diligence. I ain't, you know what I'm saying. And like I said, we endorsing her on here. Ain't no
endorsing on here.
Get that pint ass nigga out of office.
We're not casting aspersions, but I do know in May 2018, Janice did have an office in City Hall. Either she was the director of economic and development or she was the vice president of economic and development. The understanding I got is Janice was the vice president of economic and development with the Chambers of Commerce. And she came out the Chambers of Commerce building. Google her name up and Google what her position was. I'm giving you accurate dates.
Oh, she all knocking on doors. Okay, I feel it. She need to get that vote because that 11%. What you? Hey, one tell. What you feel about, man? That 11%. Voter turnout we got in the preliminary.
I want you to ask me that question after I finish this.
Okay.
Ask me that question.
Go ahead.
However, the Chambers of Commerce had 2 councils come into their meeting to speak about that 5-year contract of economic and development. So now we have to ask Art this. Art, because everybody said it on the last segment, that Karen Weaver took the contract from the Chambers of Commerce and Mayor Shelton Nilly gave it back. Ain't that what they said, brother?
On the last one?
Yeah, on the last one. It said that Art Woodson got on here and said that Mayor Karen Weaver took the contract from the Chambers of Commerce and Mayor Shelton Nilly gave it back. Ain't that what was said? That's what was said, right?
Yeah, that's what was put in the comment.
Okay, that's what we're putting in the comments. Yeah. So my thing is, how can you take a contract from someone if the contract is a contract? You can't breach a contract. You can't breach a contract. That contract has to be fulfilled. Then you can renew the contract, and renewing the contract, you don't have to give it back to them. You can keep it in City Hall.
Okay. Art just said,
George Wilkinson can be the president or vice president. I see it.
Can you see it? Can you see what he said?
I see what he's saying. But at that time, it was Janice. In 2018, it was Janice. He got 2017 up here. And that's a president, not vice president.
Yeah. Let me read it. George Wilkinson is the president of Northgate, a tier 1 warehouse-based third-party logistics 3PL company in Flint. He joined Northgate in July 2017. Wilkinson is formerly a group vice president for the Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce. In that role, he had responsibility for economic development group, shared services groups, grants and development groups, communications, marketing, and the Flint and Genesee Convention and Visitors Bureau. He joined the Flint and Genesee County Chamber after. After he joined the Flint Genesee Commerce Chambers, it just stopped. Okay. After Lear came in 2017. That's what he said.
After Lear came in 2017, what year was Janice? What year was Janice the vice president?
You hear what he said, Art? He said, what year was Janice the vice president?
Go right here. It's a regional chambers named Janice Critcher, vice president, August 13, 2010. Look right here. Go right here. I'm reading it from this right here.
Just Googled it?
Yeah, I just Googled it. It's right here.
Okay.
It says, go right here. Regional, that's the regional. That's the one downtown at the Mott building. Regional chambers names Janice Critcher, vice president, April 13, 2010. Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce has named Janice Critcher, vice president of the Economic and Development, which means economic and development. Economic and development was taken out of Flint City Hall. And they gave the Chambers of Commerce a 5-year contract to control economic and development. And what Karen Weaver did is move Janice into City Hall, making it seem as if City Hall still had control over economic and development. It's right here. It says the Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce.
Let me ask you this, brother. I mean,
I'm showing you right here.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying, though. Okay, the Lear was brought to Flint. Okay, it brought a lot of jobs. It
was groundbreaking news in 2017, 3 years after we had the meeting with the Chambers of Commerce, because they was granted 5-year contract in 2014, which means that contract goes all the way to 2019. Jerry Ambrose, who was the emergency manager at that particular time, gave the Chambers of Commerce Economic and Development 5-year contract to control economic and development, something never heard of. Gave them a 5-year contract.
Ugly baby and ugly lady.
Look at this. Go right. Look it up yourself, brother. Her name is Janice.
No, I believe you.
Listen, right here. I Googled it up right now. The Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce has named Janice Critcher vice president of the Economic and Development Action Group. Ms. Critcher was selected from a field of national candidates who sought the position. Janice Critcher, with 22 years of economic and development history in our community and significant project successes to her credit, has developed a broad range of experience and relationships that continue to drive our job creation efforts, said Tim Herman. No, it was groundbreaking news in 2017 that Lear was going to be built on the old Buick site. In April 2018, it was completely built. In April 2018, October 2017, it was groundbreaking news that Lear was going to be built in the 5th Ward at the old Buick site. April 2018 is when it was fully completed and built. But it just told you, Janice Critcher, of 22 years experience, was the vice president over economic and development. Economic and development was the contract that was given to the chambers of commerce out of Flint, Michigan. It was taken out of City Hall and given to the chambers of commerce. I'm not saying everything else was given to the chambers of commerce, but the economic and development plan for 5 years was given a contract to the chambers of commerce. Now, I just said that, right, brother? John?
Yeah.
Just said that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm speaking about economic and development, right?
Yeah.
And economic and development was given to the chambers of commerce for 5 years, starting in 2014. Am I saying that right, John?
Yeah, you're saying it right.
And didn't I say they put Janice, who was the vice president over economic and development, Karen Weaver, put her office into City Hall, right? And it said that Janice was the vice president over economic and development. Didn't I say that? Now he's saying, why does that even matter?
That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, as far as it should matter to you because if the allegations that you're saying is true, you know what I mean. You should want your due credit to saying. But
absolutely, that's why it matters.
That's what I'm saying, right? Because I'm see how I want to word this.
Let me say it for you. Let me say it for you, John. Just listen to me for a second.
Okay.
It has to matter because Art Woodson chimed in and in so many words tried to make what I was saying was false. He should have just, Art, you my guy, but you should have just sat back and listened. Because you also put somebody else's name on here and said that they are the vice president. I didn't say that they wasn't the vice president. I said Janice was the vice president of economic and development. And I said Karen Weaver put the economic and development seat inside of City Hall after Jerry Ambrose gave Chambers of Commerce a 5-year contract to control all economic and development, which means he put Karen Weaver put the economic and development back into City Hall, but City Hall had no control over it.
I said Karen Weaver came in after Wilkerson in 2017.
But we're talking about Janice. We're not talking about Wilkerson. We're talking about Janice. We're talking about Janice Critcher, who is the vice president over economic and development.
So who's the Wilkerson? Who is this Wilkerson dude?
I don't know who he's talking about. I'm talking about Janice. That's what I spoke about. I said that the emergency manager who controlled Flint and took everybody out of power gave the Chambers of Commerce a 5-year contract in 2014, gave them a 5-year contract to control all economic and development, which means the economic and development was inside of City Hall. He took it out of City Hall and gave it to the Chambers of Commerce. What Karen Weaver did is took that person who was vice president over economic and development and put her office into City Hall, making it seem as if economic and development was coming out of City Hall, but it was actually coming out of the Chambers of Commerce. Now, let me rewind the tape. Chambers of Commerce had a meeting with all city council members, which was 2 at a time. I was one of those 2 with Scott Kincaid, and they asked me, what should they do with that contract? I told them that they should go back to what Charles Stewart Mott and Billy Durant did on our infrastructure that's only designed for manufacturing and auto. I convinced them enough that they invested into Lear and put Lear on Hamilton Street in my ward and actually made a groundbreaking news in October 2017 that they was going to build Lear on the old Buick site. In April 2018, it was actually and fully, completely built and given back to the 5th Ward that they end up renovating and rebuilding the back of Old Dorch School where I went to elementary school. That's all I said. I didn't know nothing about no Wilkerson. I didn't speak about Wilkerson. I spoke about the vice president of economic and development that was housed into the Chambers of Commerce, and I said her name was Janice. Karen Weaver moved her seat or her office out of the Chambers of Commerce and put it in the City Hall to make it seem as if economic and development was coming out of City Hall, when all actuality, it was coming out the Chambers of Commerce building.
All right, well, let me say this, man. Mr. Davis, let me say this, man. You said what you said. You came with your facts. That is what it is. You know what I'm saying? She no matter what, she's still my candidate. That's what I'm voting for. I got my absentee ballot right here, right beside me. And I got her name. No,
John,
I'm just trying to clear the people to the people, man. Just clearing it up. You said what you said. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Your legacy is at stake or whatever. If you said, if I did something, I would want my credit for it too. I ain't gonna even lie, but you know what I'm saying. You came with your facts. You facts check. You came with your facts. It is what it is. Um, man, let's move on. You know what I mean? But like I said, I, I don't, it don't got nothing to do with the task at hand. What's happening today to getting Neely ass out of there? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm voting Karen Weaver. But like I was saying earlier, I was asking you about the 11% turnout. Man, it's not gonna do it if we
well,
want to truly get that dude out of office.
the reason why it's not going to do it because I have to be open, honest, and transparent that nearly do have supporters. Sometimes we can be delusional based on our interest in a person, based on we went to school with them, based on we grew up with them, based on they come to our church. And no matter how much a person slap us in the face, kick us in the butt, throw us on the ground, lie to us, we still somehow continue to have interest in them. It's been proven that Shelton Neely is an habitual liar. It's been proven that a liar, deceiver is someone I can't trust. And he's lied about small things. If you lied about small things, I can imagine what you have lied about bigger things. And it has put our city in a horrible situation because in all actuality, our city has not moved forward in over 50 years. This is not the result of her and Neely. This has been a result of over 50 years, ever since we lost that 100-year contract with General Motors. When Mayor Woodrow Stanley, wouldn't give General Motors a tax break, they left and went overseas. So this is a trickle effect ever since then, what we're suffering from in the city of Flint, Michigan.
Hey, I want to say something right quick. I ain't no politician or none of that, and then but this is my analysis. That 11% ain't gonna work because of this. We all know Neely trying to get the white vote, and we all know Flint. We ain't talking about Genesee County. Flint city limits is predominantly black. We know this, but the thing about it, more white people gonna get registered and vote than black people, and that's where right there that 11% gonna hurt, man. Because it's gonna be more. It's gonna be more white voters. That's you know what I mean.
I want to answer this question. Art said, "I'm supporting Weaver. Why would I say she a deceiver? Let me answer this question, John, please.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not saying that she's a deceiver. I'm saying that she got my vote and I endorse her. I'm saying that the people should know their due diligence. People should know the fruits that they put on the table. People should know this. Misinformation is the deceiving. I said from the beginning that Karen Weaver may have not said that she brought Lear, but other people has given her that credit. And what I'm saying is a person that actually did that should get the credit. If I die tomorrow, somebody would tell that story and they would give half truth. Half truth is worse than a lie. If I establish something in my house, I don't want people saying that my kids paid the rent. I paid the rent. I don't want nobody saying that my wife paid all the bills. I paid the bills. Because to me, that is deceptive intelligence. I don't want people to be intellectually deceived. I want people to live and stand on truth. I don't want people to don't want them to know that I paid bills. My wife may have paid bills too, but I don't want people to think that I paid no bill, because then that draws on your character. When we die, I want to say this real quick. When you die, because we all going to go back to the earth, but the only thing you're going to leave behind is your character and your principles. That's the only thing people are going to remember you for. When people talk about you at that 2 minutes, when you're in that casket, only thing they can talk about is your character and your principles. That's it. And that's the only thing that's going to live forever. But if you don't give your story out, somebody else going to tell your story. And they only going to tell half truth. Half truth is worse than a lie. I don't want nobody to tell half truth on me. This is my legacy. So I'm going to speak about my legacy. I'm not degrading, casting aspersions against Mayor Karen Weaver. I want her to win, but I don't want her to win and get people to believe on a bunch of lies, because this is what Shelton doing. You can't be contradictory or a contradiction. Throw a contradiction out on what you say that somebody's did. If you're a liar, you don't want the mirror to be turned back to you, and then you begin to lie too. That's not fair. That's unjust. See, you might not be a politician, Art, but I am. But most importantly, I'm a human. And I didn't get into politics and do all the good things that I did and fulfill some of my dream for somebody not to know that I fulfilled some of my dream. Because at the end of the day, when I die, somebody won't tell that. Because right now, a lot of people don't know that I did that. They've given the credit to somebody else that didn't do it. That didn't do it. Nobody don't want to live off lies. Karen Weaver never told nobody that she did it.
I mean, I could feel you on that, man, because I'd have been in a situation similar where I didn't get my just do my credit.
He said that he agreed. My brother said he agreed. So we'll move on.
Yeah, we'll move on, man. But it's just timing, man. It's timing.
And I'm glad that you agree. I'm glad that you agree, Art. I'm glad that you do agree. I'm glad that you agree. And so we're gonna move on, Art, from this subject, because I had to because the brother right here said that he was ailed with a lot of inboxes and a lot of things, making it seem as if I was telling a lie. And I am very emotional. Emotions to me is the mother. Love is the mother of emotion. So I love what I did, and that gets emotional. Especially when somebody don't say that.
You see what Becky Brown said? Stop giving Mr. Mott so much credit because his plan has us in this plan.
Well, it may have an endless plan, but in the urban community, bringing people from the South uneducated, it made our families middle-class families. And some of those people that became middle-class families sent their children to some of the best colleges in the world. And they made their children go to the best colleges in the world. You can't take from Charles Stewart Mott, and you can't take for Billy Durant, because if we didn't have them two, we would have never been the second poorest city in the world. But today, unfortunately, somebody made us the second poorest city in the world. Who did it? I don't know. But I do know when General Motors left us and went overseas, we became what we are today. I can tell you that much.
Becky Brown says, "Stop it."
No, we ain't stopping it. It's continuing. Because if we stop it, it's going to continue to get worse and worse in Flint. Education is the most powerful tool you can have in life, unless you want to be predicated on lies. Education means more than dollars. It means way more than dollars. And unfortunately, when Charles Stewart Mott died and General Motors from Mayor Stanley Woodrow didn't give that contract back to them, we are what we are today. Right. You got people financially distressed. You got children shooting guns. You got people robbing. You got people killing senselessly. You got people doing all type of improprieties that it don't make sense. Flint right now is a ghost town, and it's something that our grandparents and great-grandparents rolling in their grave never imagined Flint to be, because this trickled down to the third, the fourth, the fifth generation. So you have to speak about the great things that Charles Stewart Mott has done for the city of Flint, Michigan, because this goes back to the things that I did by bringing Lear. Somebody 50 years from now going to say, why are you saying that Wantaz Davis do it? What do that mean that he did it? He went to prison for a murder and all this. No, don't say that. Don't say that.
But that murder you did was valid.
But like, valid.
I'm sure everybody on here killed for their mama, man. You know what I mean?
I get that. But I'm making an example. You cannot downplay what Charles Stewart Mott and Billy Durant did for the city of Flint, Michigan, because our great-grandparents and grandparents, they benefited from that. And if you don't know the history, it's always good to stay silent and just gain the education.
Hey, Becky Brown said Charles Mott, S. Mott was a danger to the black community.
How was he? My great-grandparents came from down south, worked in General Motors, and was uneducated and did a lot for our family. They drove the nicest cars. We built the prettiest house. They sent their grandkids and kids to colleges. I don't understand that. See, that goes back again, that sometimes people was getting misinformation because you're allowing his bad to overrule his good. But I'm just taking the good and throwing the bad away. Everybody got two sides of themselves. Just like men got an X and a Y chromosome. You got good fish, bad fish. You got good fruit, bad fruit. There's always a bad and a good side to everybody. But why do we allow the bad to overrule the good? Because his good made Flint the second powerful city in the nation. And a lot of people heard about this in Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, and they ran on buses. They came in fleets to work in the shop, and they did wonders for their family. Wonders when they was broke in the South. So you can't knock that and say that.
Let me answer. Brenda Boy, I don't know if you on her or not. He just said what his intentions was. Miss Brenda, we know he's not running for office or nothing. He was just
No,
saying, like
no,
we keep saying, we endorsing Dr. Weaver, but he was just saying that for his legacy. That's just like if somebody said you didn't give you your credit for something, he just wanted his credit for what he did. That's all. Ain't nobody bashing or smearing no campaigns or nothing.
no,
Know
I'm
what I
not.
mean?
I'm not.
That's not the intentions. That's not the
No,
intent. The
no,
intent. That's
no.
what somebody told me the other day when I was trying to get a interview from I ain't gonna say their name, from a prominent official, and they worker or they assistant hit me back and said, Mr. Sales, that wasn't my intent to have you, because I told her she spent me like a bottle top, and they said that wasn't their intent to have me feeling that way. That's not our intent to have y'all feeling that way. My man just telling his story.
And
That's
I'm telling,
all.
and
That's
John,
all.
I'm
That's
telling
not our
facts.
intent.
And I'm
I ain't.
telling facts. And
I
I'm telling
mean,
facts.
but we're gonna move on from that. Hey, look, this what. Hey, brother, look. Check this out. Check this out. Let me show you this. That our perform I was telling you about. Let me show you the form. Let me see. I took a picture of it. Hold on. They got a big meeting today, man. 5:30. Um, it's an opera fund, man, for the American Rescue Plan. That's for the people. That's for for guys like you with small businesses, man. Guys like me. And that's our money, man. It was 90. What was it? 90. What was it? Mr. Davis, 90,
$94.7 million.
94.7 million.
Yes,
It was
yes.
90.7 million. Facts. These actual facts was sent to Flint, Michigan for the people.
Right,
And
right,
and it say what it say on the form is it's a request for ARP fund. And then in parentheses it got city council initial form. Okay.
right.
So it was a big thing that Eric Mays came on sometime this summer. He was out somewhere and he had the form up and turn out. And then Channel 12 come back on the next day, the very next day, and said Eric was lying. They
See,
threw him straight under
see,
the bus.
but
Threw him
hold on,
straight under the
John.
bus.
Hold on,
Threw him,
John. Hold on,
okay,
John. Let me
okay.
relate to that what you just said. How would you think Eric would feel if somebody calling him a liar when he tried to give you unadulterated truth? He would feel messed up because I know Eric. He would feel
Right.
messed up, and he probably argued about that. It's the same thing I initially did from the beginning of the show. Eric tried to help the people, give them proper information, but you got a million people saying that he's lying. Nobody want to be called a liar when they put their emotions and their goodwill into giving people proper education and proper information. Nobody want to be called a liar.
But
That's slandering. Nobody want their character
right.
assassinated because people see this all over the world. This man tried to do a good deed, which he didn't have to do,
But
which he really didn't.
it turned out Eric was telling the truth. This the same form
It's the same point. No, it's
that
the
that
same point.
they I don't know what company it is. They paid them $1 million. City council allocated them $1 million to draft these forms, bro.
And so my
You know
thing
what I'm
is,
saying?
Eric Mays would feel the same way. And let me tell Brenda Boy this. Brenda, I'm not running for office. Not at this particular time, I'm not. And I don't need to say I brought Lear to Flint to win my seat back if I want to. If Sheldon would have did what he did to me by getting some of my petitions thrown out, when he called me a week later, telling me that they in and that I need to file a lawsuit, I don't need to lie to win my seat. I've done a great thing for Flint. People in the Fifth Ward knows my passion. People in the Fifth Ward knows my due diligence. People in the Fifth Ward knows what I'm about. I don't have to lie. I don't have to get up here and throw the bandwagon in my face or toot my horn.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did.
Brother Boy says Ernest and Young. It's the name of that company about that drafted the forms.
Well,
Mr. Davis.
but what Eric Mays did is he put the information out to the people, and he gave it to them before anyone else put it out there. He
Right,
did a great deed.
right.
Eric Mays did a great deed. He was being more proactive. But in the end, by his just deed, people threw slander on him.
Yeah,
It's that's
they threw dirt on him though.
wrong.
Hey,
They
they
threw
do that to
dirt on
me all the time.
him.
Throw dirt on me, and
That's
I grow
wrong.
flowers from that
That's
dirt.
wrong.
You
That
know,
is absolutely wrong. And it's injustice. And it's unjust to do something to a person that has a great heart and doing a great deed for the people. He didn't have to let people know that. He didn't have to do that. But then in the end, he gets slighted. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes it because we all living on borrowed time. Tomorrow, all of us may die. The whole world may come to an end tomorrow, or half of the percentage of the world may come to an end. You don't want people throwing slice at you when you're dead and not speaking about the fruits of your labor. And when they do speak about the fruits of your labor, they give misinformation and half truth. Half truth is worse than a lie. It stretches from here all the way to King Tut or Egypt. People want people to be living their lives based on truth, facts.
Yeah, facts.
Facts.
I always call it how do I say it? The ugly truth or the beautiful lies.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
People get in office. People just don't get in office just to say they didn't do nothing. People are honored and rewarded for the things that they did for the people that they represented. That's called checks and balance. Checks and balance. When people get back in their seat or they want to run back for their seat, which I'm not, you still have to do checks and balances. When people get elected and people take heart to what you are and they believe in what you're going to do, there's always a checks and balance. It's always a budget that's being conducted on your work. It's the same way it's done in the city. There's a budget. And if the budget isn't balanced, there's a deficit. Nobody want to have a deficit in their nobody want to have a deficit in their career.
Yeah, well, not to interrupt you or nothing, but at 5:30 they got a special meeting, I guess. At,
I might
City
get up
Hall.
and take me a shower, and I might have my wife take me down there because I want to be abreast to what's going on. I own a custodial company, and I've hired over 100 people in this city, and they've all ate off my plate. They may not be working for me today, but I reached out to them. They reached out to me, and I put them to work. And so at the end of the day, and
that's our money, though, man. That's our money, man.
Yeah, so I might get in the shower, take me a shower, and
the government sent that money. The government sent that money to Flint to spark to spark up the economy, to help the small business person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we want our money, man. I don't know why they holding on to it, man.
Well, to me, that was a good deed.
That was a great deed, man.
It was a great deed. There you go. That's right. Misnomer. That was a misnomer to say good. It was a great deed, but it's all about how people. It's all about how people utilize that, how it's functioned, how it's acted on, and that's up to the political officials because the government did their job. They did their job. There's a balance in what they gave, 94.7 million. It's all about how it's executed now. It's executed now. And so we have to make sure that it's executed in a proper manner. And everybody that's awarded that should be down there asking for the things that they deserve. And so that's a just deed. But tomorrow somebody would say the government didn't do it. The government sent 30 million, 40 million. I would be mad if I sent $94 million and you got a bunch of people throwing darts at me and slighting me saying I didn't send the 94 million. I would be upset about that. You know, and so everybody should be emotional when people are casting aspersions and telling lies on you about your just due. Just like on my Facebook page, you got people making my profile and putting up my picture that I got on my initial profile.
Let's talk about, hey, Miss Davis, let's talk about these fake pages and
let's do that.
They stealing people's identity on Facebook, man.
People putting my Facebook page and putting my profile page on a fake Facebook and got me saying some indecent, inappropriate things. And to me, I found that as assassinating my character. I don't understand why people take the time to do that to me. And my thing is, I believe what they're trying to do is downgrade me because what I did in my legacy and my historical moves that I've made is trying to make sure that nobody else is motivated. Nobody is inspired by the things that I've done. And it's not tooting the horn in my face. I believe God had a bigger part, a great part into my legacy. Because like I said earlier, if I was an armed robber, if I was anything other than what my case was, I believe that it wouldn't have inspired the people. See, God go to the lowest of the lowest, just like Paul. You can say, oh my, that is sad. That is sad, Becky. That is sad. But it's just like Paul. Paul in the Bible. When you walk in the church, you can sit in the church 3 hours all day. And the pastor would get up and talk about Paul. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And they would tell you in Timothy, that's Paul. But they never talk about Saul because Saul and Paul are the same people. Then people say, well, who was Saul? Saul was Paul. What did Saul do? Saul was a mass murderer. He killed everything in sight. Today, we call him a serial killer. Today, we call him a hitman. Well, that's what Paul was before he became Saul. So when we think about Paul, we say, man, if Paul can change his life, we can change our life too. God never used the best of them to be an example. He used the worst of them to to be the best example because he turned the worst into better. And he used the worst to show people that someday they can be better today than what they was yesterday. That's how God works. He don't use the good to show the bad that they can be good. He used the bad to show the good that they can be good. That's how God works. So when God does what he did in my life, he's showing people that whatever mistakes you made in life, you can correct those mistakes. I don't think I made a mistake, but I do believe that I acted out of emotion. But I don't believe I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But God,
Just like I seen a post today, allegedly, a bunch of Neely supporters are threatening Weaver supporters, man.
and that's wrong.
And that's wrong, man. I'm talking about threatening to give them their addresses. They got police, you know, they call police, all type of shit. They threatening them.
That's
Some of they
wrong.
will come to their houses and
That's
all
wrong.
type of shit, man.
That's wrong. But you know what I told Juanita? I told Juanita, do not let that discourage you because ain't nobody gonna do nothing to you. That ain't nothing but a wolf tickets. That ain't nothing but a bunch of wolf. That's really unprofessional people. Go through this race professionally. Depend on God. Depend on God to make the decision on who he wants to be in leadership. Because at the end of the day, it's nothing that none of us can do that can overrule what God desires. God create leaders. God put leadership roles.
Man, they're a bunch of cowards behind keyboards and cell phones and tablets and shit like that, man. You know what I mean? Making false threats that probably ain't never gonna happen. And they, you know what I mean? They some suckers, man. They really just some suckers. They sad, man.
It's very sad.
Even stoop that low. Even let that come out there, you know what I mean?
Very sad.
Even put some shit out there like that, man. They sad, man.
It's very sad.
They sad. I call it Flint clown politics, man.
Weaver and Neely supporters should put most of their interest on praying, believing in God, having faith, because at the end of the day, whatever happens, whoever wins, it's going to be based on God's will. Whoever wins, it's going to be based on God's will because nobody cannot believe and go against what God desires for the people.
Well, guess what? I'm a Weaver supporter, so I guess I'm in threats way too. I'm on high alert. I got all my cameras pointed. I'm polishing up shit. I'm on high alert, man.
I believe in God, and I ain't gonna let nobody discourage me. I ain't gonna let nobody discourage me. I support Weaver. I think Weaver should be in the position. I'm not gonna go back on what she should have did and what she did do back 5 years, however many years ago when she was in office. Because once again, what you was yesterday, you can be better today. Ain't none of us perfect. None of us are perfect. We learn from our mistakes. We learn to know that we could have did things better. Some of us live on a woulda, coulda, shoulda. That don't suffice anything. We just do the best when we get back in that position. So I don't heard anything against Neely been in there for 8 years. Is it 8 years that Neely been in there?
Nah, he ain't been there 8 years.
One term.
I think this is his first term, right?
Okay.
But you know what though? You can't. I'm a big believer. I'm an ex-felon, man. I believe in second chances.
There we go.
And like you say, ain't nobody perfect. Ain't no perfect person. There's no such thing as the perfect person. And you can't. It ain't about. It's about making your wrongs rights, man.
That's it.
That's all it's about, man. And everybody deserves a second chance, man.
If Neely don't win, come back. Sit back, recollect, think about the things you could have done, think about the things you should have done, think about the things you would have done, and try it again. Like me, I didn't win my first term against Jerry Winfrey. I didn't win, but I'm okay with that. I tried again, but unfortunately, somebody threw a wrench in it. But if God didn't want the wrench in it, the wrench wouldn't have been in it. So I don't hold that against nobody. I just tell you facts on what actually happened.
But guess what, Wantaz? Everything happened for a reason when it comes to God. Everything happened for a reason. I never question God, man.
Question God.
Everything happens for a reason, brother. Everything happens for a reason. When it all boils down, God, you know what I'm saying? God already know the results from the election. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what did Paul say? Now I'm going to go back to Paul.
What did he say? What Paul say?
Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. But remember, before Paul made that statement, he was Saul. And what did Saul do?
Hey, is that what that? Hey, Mr. Davis, is that what that old saying go? Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I guess I don't know.
Hey man, hey man, my boy said that the other day, man. I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
You
know
know
who
what I'm
did
saying?
that. I don't know who did that. That's an old
Yeah,
act. That's an old
yeah,
act. But I
right,
don't know. But
right.
what you and I is really trying to tell the people, just to
Yeah.
just to bring this to an end. What we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to tell people is that people fruits should be known about their labor. Their fruits and their labor should be known to the people. Because at the end of the day, your character and your principles, which is a rule of action, is going to stay here forever. You don't want people standing up at your podium when you're in that casket speaking for 2 minutes and they knew nothing about you. That's
Right.
sad. You know, I want people to know what I did when I was in office. I want people to know that I lived up to my oath. I lived up to the things that I told them I would do and try to do. See, try is the operative word. Try to do. Because even some of the things I tried to do may not have been a success, but I tried, you know. And so, but I want people to know that. It's not up here about debating, telling people that Karen is a liar and whatever they thought about me, because I don't like that they threw and cast aspersions against you, brother. And they was all on your Facebook page saying he's a liar, he's a liar, he's a liar. Because sometimes people
It was
saying,
just, hey, you know what, Wantaz? It was just like, it's timing, man, that we came out with this interview, cause this right before the election. Just say, for example, like we would have had this same interview last year, it wouldn't have been as big a deal. You get what I'm saying? That's
yeah,
why I came on to see it. We is not no way, shape, or form smearing nobody's campaign. You know
right.
what I'm saying? You know what
But
I'm saying?
we up
We
here,
endorse, you know what I'm saying? But that's all it is, brother. It was timing. But I
yeah,
want you to get yours off, though. I want you to be able to, you know, to say what
yeah,
you needed to say.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because John, I have epilepsy. A couple of months ago, I was on life support. If I wouldn't have made it off life support, nobody that's listening to this program would have actually knew the truth or the facts. They wouldn't have knew that. They would have kept running with misinformation. Misinformation is worse than a lie because they can be misguided.
Yeah.
Misinformation is really dangerous
Right,
in the long haul. It's very
right,
dangerous. It's
right.
very dangerous. And so God
See,
allowed me to live long enough. If I die tonight, He allowed me to live because I have epilepsy. A lot of people don't make it when they got epilepsy. I can fall out right now and not make it, and you know, I guess my time was up.
hey, you
But
got that off, you got that off your chest, though, brother. Right
and,
to it,
and,
right here,
and, now,
flat to duck.
and now the world knows the truth. Now they knows the truth. This is not about casting aspersions against Mary Weaver or none of that. I hope she win, and she should win. But it shouldn't be based on a lie. It shouldn't be based on misinformation. It shouldn't be based on, you know, people believing this and believing that. She was a mayor before. It's a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda, but those shoulda, coulda, woulda can be remedied on her next election when she win this race. The things that she could have did better, she will do better, which I hope she will do better.
You see, you
You
see
know,
what Captain King said? She said they're being messy as whom put them up to the foolishness. Said, anybody comes to my
yeah,
house,
yeah,
they better be correct because
yeah, yeah,
I am. I
yeah,
feel you, Captain King. Make sure you pull them across the threshold after you take care of
right,
your business. Make
right,
sure you pull them in the house. Pull
right.
them in the house.
And not only that though, John, and not only that, John, we're gonna keep it professional. But not
Okay.
only that, John, you know, your show is about truth. Although
Yeah,
it's from the street, it's
yeah,
about truth. It's
yeah, it's
about
about
truth
truth.
and facts. And that's why you called me back and said, brother, we need to do a part 2 because I want you to be able to deliver the facts. Numbers never lie. 2
Yep.
plus 2 will always be 4. If you get 5 out of 2 plus 2, there's an issue. There's an issue.
There's something wrong there.
It needs to be corrected. And
Yep.
so, me as being a politician, I wasn't 10 years ago, but today I am, I guess, because I was in office. I think once you're a politician, you're always a politician.
Right.
People have to know the truth, you know, and I believe Obama would feel the same way. Any other president we have would feel the same way. Any congressman we have would feel the same way. Because when they campaign, what is their campaign predicated on? Trying to tell people the truth. Some of it be lies, but I'm not, you know, but they want people to know what they've done, what they've done. So I just want people to know what I did in my ward, because those are the people that believed in me. They stood in the cold, waiting to go sign the ballot. They made a lot of sacrifices to put me in office, knowing that I was an ex-convicted murderer. So I need them to know that your sacrifice really paid off. It really paid off. You know,
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. You know we keep it 100 with each other. I'm gonna tell you why I really felt your pain because 2014, like it came out recently. I'm not no original water warrior or whatever. I pride myself on that because when I came home from the feds, uh, I prayed in that cell up in Midland, Michigan. I said, God, if you see fit to get me out of this, you ain't got to worry about me no more. Soon he let me out. 2014, the water crisis hit. 2015, man, I've been doing everything I can to help this city, man. Everything, anything. I mean, I done brought so much water and just stuff. Period. Diapers. 2% milk. The resources. And then for somebody to turn around and say I'm not no original water warrior, it really, you're not speaking the truth.
It
You know
will
what I'm
hurt.
saying? And I got receipts. And I got
It will
receipts.
hurt. But
I
it will
got
hurt.
just like you. I got receipts.
It
You
will
know what I'm
hurt
saying?
you.
So I
It will
felt
hurt
your
you.
pain.
You have to do that. It will
I
hurt
felt your
you.
pain.
It will hurt you to even take those extra measurements
Right.
because you're speaking your truth. It will
That-
hurt somebody calling you Tom and say he really Tom, not John.
That's what I was saying, man. When we was talking, we was speaking on Yusuf Broswell
He was
on
doing it.
Vaz.
He did an excellent job.
That's why I felt his pain too. And they hurt him so bad, he just vanished, man. Vaz just vanished off of the social media. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? That's why I was so adamant about getting your story out, bro.
Yeah.
Especially after I got all them inboxes and phone calls and stuff. I was like, oh, okay. Because I feel his pain because they did me the same way on a smaller scale. Water warrior is not it's not nowhere near like a councilman. But
you did a great job, John. You did a great job. No matter how much you give to the people, no matter how much you gave to the people, you did and played a great part in doing what you wanted to do. You did that by choice, not by force. You did that by choice, not by force. And another thing that really hurted me the most is, and I'm going to be honest with you, they gave Dr. Mona Hanna all of the credit when you could just go right on yahoo.com. It took somebody that's all over the world to come to my house. I don't care how they titled it, but they spoke good about me in the message. They said, meet Wantz Davis, the ex-convict who tried to save Flint. Nobody else says about that. When I put that article on Facebook, I probably got like 10, 11 likes, if that.
Yep.
Dr. Mona Hanna would have put something up there. She'd have got 1 million likes, 1.3 thousand, 1.5 thousand.
Look, flip that same. The same with Wantaz Davis. Did some bullshit or whatever. You would have had 1 million views. You
A million views.
You know what I'm saying? But since you was talking about something positive that you did, they not interested.
And the killing thing about it, right? The killing thing about let me pull it up and then I'm gonna get off because I got to show facts before I go because I always speak about this at my house because it really hurts. It really hurts me. It really truly hurts me. Here I go right here. Yahoo.com. Yahoo.com. Now let me play it a little bit. I'm gonna hit it. Let me play it.
Okay. Go ahead. My platform, your platform, brother. Go ahead.
I appreciate you, my brother. I love you for that.
Hey, they better watch out. We might do a weekly show cause
let me take it off.
Wantaz Davis hour on their ass. They better be on the lookout for that.
I want you to that's right, brother. I love you, brother. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really love you, my brother. And the reason why I love you, brother, is because you're a genuine, upright, upfront brother, man. You didn't have to reach out to me on none of this.
Nope.
You did this by choice, not by force.
That's right.
I'm gonna play it real quick.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me get to it first.
Okay.
Take
your time, bro. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for giving me that time, brother.
Yep.
Is it up? Can you tap it up and play it, brother?
What is it?
It say meet Wantz Davis, the ex-con who tried to save Flint. Tap that on your phone.
Hold on, let me see something. Let me try to pull it up my other device and I can load it up. Hold on.
Yes, sir. You can. Please do that. Please do that.
And what would I say now?
It say meet Wantz Davis, the ex-con who tried to save Flint.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Go ahead, talk to the people, bro. Why I look this up? Go ahead.
I just want the people to know that I didn't care about a paycheck. I went on welfare to run for a job that was only given $200 every 2 weeks, which means Once I became a city council person, I was still on welfare. See, God blesses those that take a sacrifice. He don't blesses those that don't take a sacrifice. That's why it goes all the way to Paul and say the faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I have faith and belief that I will win that seat to bring one of my biggest goals and dreams to a reality. And that was to create jobs for the low, moderate, underprivileged, ex-convicts, felons, and all the people that was below on the ground struggling for a dollar and a dime.
Hey, you say meet Wantz Davis.
The ex-con who tried to save Flint.
Okay, I got you. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. And I was the only one as an elected official who didn't believe in going to the Flint River. All of my other colleagues, I love them. I just think that they didn't know. I'm not putting that burden on them. I'm not casting aspersions against them. I think they thought that we was doing the right thing for those that didn't stand up with me. So I'm not saying that they did something that they thought was going to harm us. I don't think any one of them intended to harm us. I just think that they didn't know. And see, and the things that you don't know can be very destructive. That's the reason why I'm on here talking the way I'm talking, because a lot of you guys didn't know that I brought Lear. A lot of you guys didn't know that I was the only elected official in office that tried to stop them from going to Flint River. And I wanted you to know that I was the only one that didn't toast, nor did I drink the water, and that my wife and I drove all the way to Washington, D.C. to get Dan Kildee, Debbie Stabenow, and United States Attorney General involved to stop the emergency manager from switching us to the Flint River. A lot of y'all didn't know that I wrote letters to Washington, D.C. to get them to intervene to stop the state, Michigan state government from switching us to the Flint River. A lot of things you guys didn't know that I did. Now, I mean, you know, water warriors, they was in effect, but a lot of the water warriors came into the picture. Not you guys, not you, John. A lot of the water activists came into the picture after they found out that we were poisoned. But I tried to stop the poisoning. That's the part that I'm alluding to. I tried to stop the poisoning, and everything that I actually predicted, it happened. Now, we had people that fought once we got poisoned and said that this is wrong, go back to the Great Lakes, but there was nobody but myself fighting to try to stop it from being poisoned. That's the only distinction that I'm bringing up. That's the distinction. Right. I'm not saying that the water warriors didn't fight, because they did fight. They fought a good fight, and they fought a good fight to the
reason why they marginalized me is because of my narrative in life. But I am the first one who actually fought against the quality of this water when they switched us over to the Flint River. And if you look at I don't know if you look, you see when they was turning them cups up, I was the only one that didn't have a cup. I didn't have a cup. I wasn't drinking that water. I said, give me a bottle of water. There was a condition that was crippling the community stemming from the Flint River when I was protesting and trying to bring alarm and awareness to the quality of this water. And it was trilohaftamine. And that's a carcinogen. After serving 20 years in prison for a murder, I murdered a man when I was 17 years old because him and his two friends raped my mother when I was a kid. Oh, my mama probably was in her 30s. I came home in 2010, and I got off parole in 2012, and I got elected in government in 2013. And when I came to my hometown, which is Flint, Michigan, it was nothing that I remembered. Like you see out here, all these lots that's by my house, there was houses on every last one of these lots. And a lot of these homes were dilapidated, and crime was at the highest level that I ever imagined it to be in my city. And it just looked like a poor city. And so I was wondering, why is it like this? I found out at this time that it was 28% of the people in the city of Flint with felonies on their record inside of a city that was 100,000. And so I went down to city council meetings, and I used to always advocate for these men and women with the felonies on their record, and I would advocate for the injustice that was going on in Flint. But after my 5 minutes was up, they used to throw me off the mic and say, your time is up, Mr. Davis. And so I said, okay. I said, but I'll argue this on your side. I will run for city council on the next election. They blew me off and said, yeah, you're a convicted murderer, whatever. We hear you. About 6 months later, I did a grassroots campaign by myself, by the grace of God, and I spoke to over 7,000 people in a 9 and 10 month span. And I was transparent, open, and honest about my conviction, about my narrative in life and everything. And they believed in me. And lo and behold, I beat 5 to 6 people out of this race, and I became elected as a city council person. The first person in the history of America to ever go to prison for a murder and get elected in government. We was third at the highest economically in the nation. To this day, we're the second poorest city in the nation. 40% of the people that live in Flint are living in poverty. 40% of the people that live in Flint has felonies on their record, almost. The people who are ill affected the most are the low, moderate income people who cannot afford or have any recourse but to drink water from the faucet. And that was the reason why I decided to run for city council, because I seen that my city needed somebody in office that can really be a voice for the voiceless. And most of the people that was voiceless was those that was living in poverty, no hope, no opportunity, no jobs.
Man, that was a nice piece, brother.
Hey, and then I want you to do this, John. Read a little bit of the article. Start from the top. Read a little bit of the article.
It say, Flint, Michigan, on a cloudy April 4th day in 2014, Flint city council members and others elected officials gathered in the city's once defunct water treatment plant to celebrate. Dwayne Wallen, then the mayor, ceremoniously pushed a button to stop the flow of the.
Lancaster County,
Hold on.
Man accused of sex crimes, including.
My fault. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Let's go back. Dwayne Wallen.
Want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Okay, because I want people to hear this. See, this is the credit I didn't get, although I'm not looking for credit, but I'm looking for people to be in the known. Because when people are not in the known, they build their own perspective about the known. And I don't want people to build their own perspective about the known.
I see right here where it say that you didn't join in the toast.
I didn't.
Yeah, it said right here. It said recently elected city councilman from Flint Fifth Ward did not join in the toast.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. And the reason why I didn't, now let me read it to you. It say Flint, Michigan, on a cloudy April day in 2014, Flint City Council members and other elected officials gathered in the city's once defunct water treatment plant to celebrate. Dane Walling, then the town's mayor, ceremoniously pushed a button to stop the flow of treated Lake Huron water from Detroit for the first time in nearly 50 years. Water from the nearby Flint River began gushing into Flint's 700-mile-long pipe system instead. The politician raised glasses of water and toasted the historic change. Wantz Davis, the recently elected city councilman, Flint's Fifth Ward, did not join in on the toast.
Yeah, I see that.
Is that all? Oh, I was in the corner like, nah, I'm not drinking that, Davis recalls. The councilman has been one of the fiercest opponents of the decision to switch to the more polluted and corrosive Flint River. Let me say that again. The councilman has been one of the fiercest opponents of the decision to switch to the more polluted and corrosive Flint River, which means is I was going against the switch. I was the fierce one asking to not go to the switch.
Yep.
May before he was elected, while the city was under the control of the state-appointed emergency manager. His calls nearly 2 years ago for a federal investigation into the water crisis seems like a long shot. But then again, Davis' entire political career has been improbable, which means impossible. In 1991, when he was 17, Davis shot and killed a man he suspected of sexually assaulting his mother. Davis said he didn't intend to shoot him until he saw blank reach in his pocket, but a judge sentenced him to up to 50 years in prison for second-degree murder. He grew up behind bars, teaching himself to read and write so he could understand the letters sent to him from family and friends. When he emerged a free man 19 years later in 2010, he was blown away by Flint's decline. It was nothing that I remember, Davis said. A lot of these homes were dilapidated and crime was at the highest level that I ever imagined it to be in my city. And it just looked like a poor city. He struggled to get a job, crying to his grandmother when he was turned away again and again after interviews that seemed to go well until his criminal record came up. He felt like he was being discriminated against and would never be able to succeed. That's when Davis began showing up to city council meetings and getting involved in local politics. He wanted to advocate for others felons in the city, but his estimate, 28% of the population who were trying to move on from their past. After 5 minutes was up, they used to throw me off the mic and say, your time is up. Mr. Davis, he recalls of the meeting. So I would say, okay, but I will run for city council in the next election. They blew me off. They said, yeah, you're a convicted murderer, whatever. Davis campaigned vigorously, knocking on thousands of doors and eventually beat out 5 opponents for a surprise victory. The local Flint newspaper had never reported on Davis' felony prior to the election, promoting a public apology from their editor. But Davis says he told everybody while out campaigning his entire life story, and that the newspaper didn't write about his past because they didn't take him seriously enough as a candidate to write much about him at all. I became the first person in the history of America to ever go to prison for murder and get elected in government. Davis said, we attempted to verify this with several political historians, but no one knew for sure. Former President Andrew Jackson killed at least one man in a duel, but was never convicted of a crime. Davis was a controversial figure from the start. He seemed entirely free from the political urge to be diplomatic and deferential. He referred to Flint's water problem as a genocide to the media, and in letters to the U.S. Justice Department, Governor Rick Snyder, and the United Nations, long before anyone was paying attention. He said, I wrote letters to Washington. I wrote letters to the government long before anyone knew of the water conditions. People were texting me, calling me a moron. Davis said of that episode, the reason I use the word, it doesn't stem from a racial standpoint. It was more about class. It was more about low and moderate income people and moderate income people. The poor people, rights, blacks, Hispanics, Chinese, we are all the ones who are ill affected by the water, not the people with the money. The people with the money can leave and come back or move to outside counties. Flint water issue is personal for Davis. And several levels, his wife, Stephanie, developed what looked like a large black burn on her stomach last year. One expert told Davis the marks could have been caused by the high chlorine content in the Flint water, which was needed to kill the E. coli and other bacteria that propel us only a few months after the switch. Davis is also personally affected by the Flint unique high water bills. But basically what it's saying, people can go read it. Basically what it was saying is, I was trying to stop us from going to the Flint River long before anybody knew that that water was going to poison us, that it was going to create TTHM, trioxyhamine, and it was going to cause Legionnaire. Why did Dr. Mona Hanna get an article all over the world saying she tried to save Flint when her job and responsibility was to test lead in the children and anybody that had lead? Only thing she did is made a report saying lead is in the body, and she became an expert witness, which I articulated and enunciated on the last video, that we can get an expert witness that can make an expert testimony and take it to federal court and make an injunction, which means to stop the switch from ever occurring and take us off the Flint River and move us back to the Great Lakes. That's what I said. But this article actually tells you that I was a proponent of the switch before anybody knew that we was going to be poisoned. Anybody knew that the 5 children was going to die. Anybody knew that we was going to catch Legionnaire. Had they listened to me and not switched to the Flint River, I would have saved Flint from going through all the things that we go through. I would have saved Flint from going all of the things that we going through. But nobody never paid attention to the yahoo.com article that says meet Wantz Davis, the ex-convict who tried to save Flint. They went straight to Dr. Mona Hanna. They said, forget the black guy, forget the ex-convict, forget the ex-murderer. We're not going to give him no credit, because if we give him credit, it's going to lower the population of prisoners, because prison is a big slave house for whites, blacks, Hispanics, Chinese. We all one. It's not a racial thing. It's just a legal slave house. And if we give inspiration to the low moderate people, low income people that go to bed financially distressed, wake up financially distressed, it stops them from acting ill. It stops them from creating crimes that poor people do. It gives morals and values back in their life because it tells them that what they are today, they can be better tomorrow. Most people that are in prison did a crime based on being either financially distressed, emotionally distressed, and had some issues in their life that made them vent. Most people that's in prison acted out of emotion and found themselves in a woulda, coulda, shoulda moment that don't suffice nothing. But here you go. You got a Saul that eventually became a Paul. And people are inspired by Paul, but don't know anything about Saul. And they go to church every day. So they realize when they go to church that what I am today, I can be better tomorrow. The world didn't want nobody to know about Davis. So instead, they talked about Dr. Mona Hanna. And to me, I felt that to be so offensive, a great form of injustice. And I just felt that that was wrong. When I was the one fighting every day to stop us from going to the Flint River. But nobody talks about that. But also, and I'm going to conclude it. Also, when they came out with the movie, they had me as the only black elected official in the movie when we had 6 African Americans, 2 Caucasians, and 1 Hispanic. But when the movie come out with Queen Latifah and Jill Scott called Flint, they got me as the only black elected official. And when it's time to drink the water, they black out everybody and got me drink the water and take it from my mouth and say good.
Hey, Mr. Davis, I got you together. Watch out. Watch this. Hold on.
They marginalized me is because of my narrative in life. But I am the first one who actually fought against the quality of this water when they switched this over to the Flint River. And if you look at I don't know if you look, you see when they was turning them cups up, I was the only one that didn't have a cup. I didn't have a cup. I wasn't drinking that water. I said, give me a bottle of water. There was a condition that was crippling the community stemming from the Flint River when I was protesting and trying to bring alarm and awareness to the quality of this water. And it was trilohaptamine, and that's a carcinogen. After serving 20 years in prison for a murder, I murdered a man when I was 17 years old because him and his 2 friends raped my mother when I was a kid. My mama probably was in her 30s. I came home in 2010, and I got off parole in 2012, and I got elected in government in 2013. And when I came to my hometown, which is Flint, Michigan, it was nothing that I remembered. Like you see out here, all these lots that's by my house, there was houses on every last one of these lots. And a lot of these homes were dilapidated, and crime was at the highest level that I've ever imagined it to be in my city. And it just looked like a poor city. And so I was wondering, why is it like this? I found out at this time that it was 28% of the people in the city of Flint with felonies on their record inside of a city that was 100,000. And so I went down to city council meetings, and I used to always advocate for these men and women with the felonies on their record, and I would advocate for the injustice that was going on in Flint. But after my 5 minutes was up, they used to throw me off the mic and say, your time is up, Mr. Davis. And so I said, okay. I said, but I'll argue this on your side. I will run for city council on the next election. They blew me off and said, yeah, you're a convicted murderer, whatever. We hear you. About 6 months later, I did a grassroots campaign by myself by the grace of God, and I spoke to over 7,000 people in a 9 and 10 month span. And I was transparent, open, and honest about my conviction, about my narrative in life and everything. And they believed in me. And lo and behold, I beat 5 to 6 people out of this race, and I became elected as a city council person. The first person in the history of America to ever go to prison for a murder and get elected in government. We was 3rd at the highest economically in the nation. To this day, we're the 2nd poorest city in the nation. 40% of the people that live in Flint are living in poverty. 40% of the people that live in Flint has felonies on their record, almost. The people who are ill affected the most are the low, moderate income people who cannot afford or have any recourse but to drink water from the faucet. And that was the reason why I decided to run for city council, because I seen that my city needed somebody in office that can really be a voice for the voiceless. And most of the people that was voiceless was those that was living in poverty, no hope, no opportunity, no jobs.
Well, brother, you got a voice today, man.
You know, brother,
I fuck with you on Fly After Dark, man. I fuck with you, man.
You know, when I see that, man, that brings tears to my eyes, man.
Because it's genuine, brother. It's genuine.
Because I still should be in my seat. But Mary Shell Neely did that to me. And I really cared about my people. And I still care about my people. But this epilepsy is really bothering me. And I don't want to be in a position that it cripples me real bad. But you know what's sad is they marginalized me. When I put all of my heart into it, I sacrificed my family time. I quit my jobs and went on welfare for a job that kept me on welfare. So it showed that I didn't care about the money. I quit my 2 jobs to run for a seat that was only paying $200 every 2 weeks, which means I was getting $100 a week. So that showed that I didn't care. I wasn't trying to get no money. And when I ran against Karen Weaver, I made a statement saying that I would give half of my paycheck. I didn't know where I was going to give it to, but I said I would give half of my paycheck because I never cared about the money. I found a way to make my own money. When I started my cleaning company, I found a way to make my own money. And I became successful because God always walked me through my hardest times. And I felt like it couldn't get no harder than doing 20 years in prison. It couldn't get no harder. When I first went to prison, I had to lock in my room behind bars for 23 hours a day. And I was 17, 18 years old. I ain't never been locked in no room, no 23 hours a day, looking at a black and white TV. I did that for many years. And so I always told myself I can make sacrifice because God blesses the sacrificial one. And so God found something great in me. And so the only reason why I'm on this show speaking the way I'm speaking, I'm not casting aspersions against nobody. I'm not talking bad and down to nobody. I'm just trying to let people know the sacrifices that I took because nobody else gonna tell it. And if I died today, people will tell a bunch of lies. You already see the movie with Queen Latifah and Jill Scott that's called Flint. They didn't tell the truth about me. Matter of fact, I was the only black elected official that they put in that movie. And they got me drinking the water. They got me toasting. They blacked everybody out the movie and got me drinking and toasting the water saying it's good. I didn't do that. Mary Shell Neely did that. But my thing is, why am I the only black person you got in that movie? When it was 6 African Americans, 2 Caucasians, and 1 Hispanic. But everybody you got in that movie as an elected official is only me. And I'm the only elected official that you put a name in there besides the emergency manager down there early. That's defamation. And I'm going to sue Lifetime and I'm going to win millions. I just got to get over to Toronto and find a lawyer over there. I already got a lawyer that reached out to me. I got to reach back to him and I can file a defamation lawsuit because that article you just showed off of Yahoo is totally contrary to how they depicted me in that movie. But the sad thing about it, 300 years from today, everybody that's watching this show, including me and my family, we all going to be gone. But imagine when they show that movie 300 years from today, how it's going to defame me and people are going to believe that I was the one that confirmed that we should switch to the Flint River. And they're going to live off that notion or that belief because there's nobody here that's going to defend me. They're going to say that guy went to prison for a murder and he did something real historical and came home and got elected in government, something nobody ever did in the history of America. But did you see that movie? And that automatically takes away from everything that I've done. It takes not only away from me, it takes from the hopeless people, the uninspired people, the hopeless people. It takes away from everything that I did to inspire people who are nothing today that can be something tomorrow. Just on that movie. And I believe that was intentionally to slight me, to slight my past, to slight my historical movement. It was intentionally to slight me, to take away from everything that I sacrificed to do. That movie did that to me. And I'm going to sue Lifetime. Because how did Lifetime get that false narrative of me? Somebody had to give that false narrative of me, or they just built that narrative on their own when they found out what I actually did. That was not only racist, it was defaming, and it was just marginalizing me. It was everything you can think of in the negative. It was nothing positive about me. But when you go and look at yahoo.com, it speaks highly of me. It speaks about every sacrifice that I took. And so I'm telling people on this right now that I was the only one that was trying to stop this city from being poisoned. I didn't get into it when we got poisoned. I tried to stop us from being poisoned. And if you look at that video, what it says, when they tried to get me to toast, I said, I'm not toasting that. Give me a bottle of water because that's what we're going to be drinking. What are we drinking today? Bottled water. And if you really go deep into it, On any other articles, it would say that I said that children gonna die, we're gonna be poisoned. 5 children died. And to this day, a lot of people call it Legionnaire. And then if you look at the other video at City Council, I gave attorneys advice on what they should do. Get expert witnesses that can make expert testimonies, and we can file a federal suit in the federal courts. The lawyers did that. And what did it do? It got a $600-some million. Did the people get some of that money? No. Did the lawyers get a third? Yeah, they are rich. They are rich. So I did some remarkable things for Flint. But nobody knows that. That's why this show that John did, who I love you very much, my brother, I'm telling the truth. And nobody knew the truth. Nobody. So I'm telling it right now, and we got accurate information to confirm that, to confirm it. But when you put me in the movie, you defanged me, you degraded me, you marginalized me, and I was the only one fighting against it, but you got me in the movie being the only one to drink it. You know, that's what Hollywood do, huh? They does that to people who has done something great and significant. So I'm going to let you go, brother, because I really want people to know my roles. And I would be a fool to let somebody take away my fruit of my labors. So I want you to know I support Karen Weaver. And the reason why John reached out to me, because he said he wanted me to tell the truth and actual facts to confirm it. And I did it. And I hope I really did it. I hope I really told the people. I don't know how many people looking at this, but you need to refrain from sending messages to John about things that you know nothing about. Because I gave it to you factually. I gave you all the facts. And so there's no way you can debate against that. There's no way you can debunk that. You have to just live with it. I did something in this world that nobody's ever done. And I'm not casting aspersions against people that y'all say did something remarkable. And I'm going to end it and conclude it with this. There's many Michael Jordans. There's many Michael Jacksons. There's many Floyd Mayweathers. There's many LeBrons. There's many Kobe Bryants. There's many Clarissa Shields. There's many Serena and Venuses. There's a lot of people. But there's only one Wantaz Davis.
What you say, brother? 101. Hey, man. I ain't tripping Wantaz about them people with them inboxes and them phone calls, man, because they know, excuse my English, I know we trying to keep it professional here, but I don't give a fuck, and they know it. But hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Hey, I got your back, brother. You got my number. You need me, just holler. And don't forget when you go get them millions of dollars from Lifetime, come get your boy, man.
I will. I promise I will. I'm gonna bring. Let me tell you what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna tell this where everybody know this, and I said it on here.
Okay.
I said it on here. If I succeed in which I can prove information.
Right.
I'm gonna bring you 100 bands. I'm gonna write you a check for 100 bands.
Man. Hey.
I mean that.
And you gonna get on your show.
That brother gave me 100 bands.
My man. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's real, man.
If I win that. If I win them millions off a Lifetime, well, I got another lawsuit against Beecher, so don't get it mixed up. I said off a Lifetime.
But you said clarify that shit.
Yeah, because you see on the news that I won that lawsuit against Beecher. Don't think it's that one. I'm telling you.
All right. Hey man, but keep doing what you're doing, brother. Keep your health, man, good. And we gonna do something again very soon, man. And I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna help keep your legacy alive, brother. I told you I've been following you, and man, I just want you to come on and get your facts off and tell the truth.
But
that's what we're about here.
But John, that's what we're about here. I'll ask you one last question because you asked me a lot of them. Did I admit? Was that truth? It's only one Wantaz Davis. It's only one Wantaz Davis in this world, and it's only one Wantaz Davis with a story like mine, isn't it?
Man, you valid, man. You 100. You passed my fact check. You valid, man. That means a lot, man. I love you too, man.
I love everybody that's watching this. Please don't go against Karen Weaver. We vote for Karen Weaver. We're endorsing Karen Weaver. We want Neely out of office, but please understand my truth. Take care, my brother John. You have a beautiful day.
Hey, stay no more, brother. We out of here.
Hey, send this video to my page the way you sent the other one.
Go look in there. I saw already in there. I already did. It's in there. It's
like in this. They ain't gotta push no button. Go to it.
That's all you gotta do is push the button.
We don't want them to push the button. We want it like this. How you just sent the other one.
No, I sent the video. You got just a straight video.
Oh, straight video. So when I go on it, the video. They
gotta push the arrow to make a video play. Yeah.
No, but you sent the other one when I didn't. I got one right now that you sent to Terrence O'Neill Oh, did he send that to me?
Terrence O'Sales, yeah.
Did he send it to me like that?
That's me.
Okay, yeah, it is you, right? It is you.
Yeah,
but
it's me.
You got it where I didn't have to push a button. It's just automatically there.
Oh, okay. Well, I revise it. Let me close out. I got you.
And send it to me like that, because I hate to say it. Some of our people or all people can't realize to push the button, so they just see a picture there and be like, "Oh, all right, brother."
I got you.
I love you, brother, and you have a beautiful day.
Hey, man, you too, man. Peace out. I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Take care.
Yep.
Ray, you gone crazy. You are now tapped in with the most realist and controversial show on the net. Flint After Dark Podcast. We speak for the streets. We speak for the streets. Yeah.
Smoking Jay's Barbecue, 3600 South Dork Highway. Home of Big Drip Burger, Little Drip Burger, and Double Big Drip Burger. Open Thursday through Sunday. Best food in town. Barbecue ribs, barbecue chicken, baked chicken, fried fish. With or without sauce, can't go wrong. Delicious dessert. Smoking Jay.
To the left, gold Dayton's on the thing. I'm the MJG, pimp tight. Put it to the flow, 5-0, swing her right in the peanut butter guts. It's a must. Drop it in the shop, take them out, wrap them up in a tent. Clear coast to make it shine. Make me circle through the neighborhood 55 times with my gas tank full. Drink a full. Fell up in the park as a dog try to pull me a young stout woman. Some pretty, nice round hips with them.
You are now tapped in with the most realist and controversial show on the net. Flint After Dark Podcast. We speak for the street. We speak for the street.
Yeah. You're now rocking with Terrence Sale on Flint's #1 online podcast, Flint After Dark. We speak for the streets.
It's your boy, Terrence Sales, a.k.a. Mr. Speak for the Streets, a.k.a. Big T, and you locked in to the #1 podcast in Flint, Michigan, Flint After Dark. We speak for the streets.
With my co-host, LPZ. We the new dynamic duo. We speak for the street. Peace.
Thinking of myself like what the fuck is going on? Asking God for help like what the fuck I'm doing wrong? He ain't giving me no answers, I figured it out myself. Got tired of asking questions, I'm tired of looking for help. Man, I can't win for losing, I'm steady taking these losses. Had to bury greed and chinks, same week, 2 different coffins. Man, that shit'll traumatize you when it ain't trying to. Everybody shedding tears, you trying not to cry too. They say they feel my pain, but they don't know how much I'm hurting. Mama told me pray, it usually helps, but it ain't working.